Carmela, did you know they make wine in Croatia?
I think that I would guess that they make wine everywhere.
Well, okay, good. That's probably true. But I will admit that although I knew they made wine there, I never really took the time to learn about it. So today, we're going to educate all of you along with us and taste some classic wines from Croatia.
I love it.
Hello, and welcome to the Wine Pair Podcast. I'm Joe, your sommelier of reasonably priced wine, and this is my wife and my wine pairing partner in crime, Carmela.
Hi there.
And we are the Wine Pair.
Ew.
If you're new to the podcast, here is what you can expect. If you love wine and want to find great wines at affordable prices, and you want to expand your wine horizons, and you want to have some laughs and fun while doing it, well, then you're in the right place. Because each week we explore a different wine varietal or style or brand or region of the winemaking world, and we learn about what makes them worth knowing about. And then we taste 2 to 3 of those wines that are reasonably priced to let you know if they are worth your hard-earned money.
Did you just rework the whole script?
I did. If that feels like your vibe, though, Carmela, are you listening to it?
Your tribe.
That's right. Then we're happy that you are here. And we're proud to say that Decanter Magazine calls us fun, irreverent,
Chatty.
and entertaining.
That was pretty chatty there.
No, that was actually shorter than I usually do.
Really?
I'm trying to, read, just keep it fresh.
Oh.
Gotta keep it fresh.
You kept me on my toes. I listened in that time for
Thank you.
sure.
She often doesn't listen.
Well, because I might be able to recite what you used to say.
Not anymore. See, that's why you got to change it up.
Yeah,
Okay, Carmela, this week we're back with one of my favorite episode types, and those are the episodes where we focus on wine-making regions of the world that are less well-known, sometimes even ignored or just not appreciated enough. And this episode was inspired by an Instagram pair called East Idaho Foodies who reached out to us via DM on Instagram and asked the following, and I will quote it. Have you ever delved into Croatian wines?
Wow, we're going to delve into it?
We're going to delve. Then she goes on, my husband has ancestral roots in Croatia, so we try to keep that part of his background alive. We haven't tried any yet, and they are proving to be somewhat difficult to find locally, so I will probably have to turn to the internet. I would love to hear an episode about Croatian wines, particularly Plavac Mali and Pošip.
No way!
So we are here to do just that today.
Oh my goodness.
To the T.
I love it.
And I think I told you this, Carmela, that I was very concerned that we would not be able to find wines from Croatia when they reached out to us, or wines, at least wines from that country that fell into our price range, because we have had some trouble trying to follow up on requests from folks. Like, we've been looking for a long time for wines from Virginia. They are really hard to find, and they're hard to find in a reasonable price, at least to get to our state in Washington.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. But we found both of these wines that our friends, the East Idaho Foodies, wanted us to check out, and we have one of each that we're going to taste and review today. But I will also say that any analysis we give of Croatian wine in this episode has to be kind of taken with a grain of salt, since we're just trying 2 different wines and not doing a whole retrospective. Like, we're going to do one wine each. What if it's not the best?
Complete picture.
Exactly. So if we find one of these wines is not great, that doesn't mean that Croatian wines aren't great. It just means that's the wine we chose.
Right.
So it's and
the particular bottle and everything.
Exactly. So, but I think at least we'll get like an initial impression.
A little snapshot.
That's right. But before we talk about those wines, let's spend a couple of minutes talking about Croatian wines in general.
Okay.
So the first thing to know is that Croatia and Italy are kissing cousins.
Wow.
They are kissing cousins. They share more than you would think in many ways, including an affinity for food and wine as part of their culture. In fact, I didn't know this. I'm not sure if you knew this either, Carmela. The Croatian language is a common language spoken in the Italian region of Molise.
Oh.
Because there are a lot of people from Croatian descent there. So I didn't know that.
No, I did not either.
Now, from a winemaking perspective, Croatia has a really long history. There's evidence of viticulture in Croatia dating back to the Bronze Age. Now, for those of you who may not be totally sure when the Bronze Age occurred, because
True, I don't know.
Exactly. It goes back to 3300 BC, and winemaking really flourished during Greek colonization of Croatia in the 5th century BC. So they've been making wine in Croatia for over 5,000 years.
Okay, so it is not a new thing.
it ain't new in Croatia. It may be new to us, but it ain't new in Croatia.
No, sir.
And then like also in Italy and a lot of other areas, there are a variety of different wine growing regions in Croatia, from cooler northern areas that are near the Alps to more Mediterranean climates near the coast. And then in the interior of the country, there are a wide variety of wines and terroirs there. And remember, terroir is just a fancy way of saying the place. And so I'm not going to go into a ton of details because we could spend a ton of time on it. But here are a few fun facts. We're going to do some fun facts. And then you can find a whole bunch of articles and links to videos where you can learn more in our show notes. Did you know we have show notes?
I knew that.
You can always go to our website and click on the show and find our show notes. And by the way, if you haven't done it before, in our show notes, when I do list articles, I usually list 20 or more articles that I use for research. So there's a lot of stuff there to look at. And Carmela's like, oh my God, we'll do that, man. Why can't you just find one and just go with that?
That's just overwhelming. That's when people go, oh, next page.
No. Okay. Now, there are 4 primary winemaking regions in Croatia, and here is a bit about each of them. The first is Dalmatia, which is right along the coast of the Adriatic. So it's right in the Mediterranean, and it's actually the area where both of the wines that we're going to drink today are from. And it's also the place where a colleague of mine is from that I just met in person for the first time this past week.
Oh, my goodness.
So a big shout out to Elvir. He's from Croatia.
Did you say you were doing this episode?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh.
And I made him find it and sign up and subscribe.
No way.
Of course I did.
Oh, good.
Now, Dalmatia is known for its red wines, particularly from the grape Plavac Mali, and some notable white wines like Pošip and Grk. It's spelled Grk, I kid you not, but it's pronounced Grk, I believe. And Dalmatia is generally considered the most diverse of all Croatian wine regions, and it has the highest percentage and number of wines made from different indigenous grapes. So there's a lot, as we will talk about, a lot of indigenous grapes in this area, grapes that you don't find in other places of the world. Another area is called Istria. It's in the northwesternmost of Croatia, in a really interesting area that borders Slovenia, and it's just a little bit away from the Trieste area of Italy, which is actually on the other side of the Adriatic. Everybody thinks that it's on the west side of the Adriatic, but it's actually, there are parts of it that are a little bit on the east side of the Adriatic.
I feel like there's a trip coming on here.
There might be. And this place has also a very Mediterranean climate and diverse soils, and produces both red and white wines, including Malvasia Istarska, Teran, Merlot, and Cabernet Sauvignon. Another area is Slavonia. It's the easternmost part of Croatia. It's all inland, and it borders Hungary, Serbia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. This region is primarily focused on white wine, and the most widely planted grape there is a grape called Grashavina. And it's different from Dalmatia and Istria in that it has a continental climate, so cold winters and hot summers. It's not Mediterranean, which is really interesting, even though it's in the same country and not really that far away. And then the last region is the Croatian uplands, which are in between sort of Dalmatia and Slavonia, and the uplands are known for cool climate, rolling hills, and the production of aromatic white wines and sparkling wines. And we did an episode several months ago on aromatic white wine. So if you want to know what those are all about, check out that episode, because it's actually some really interesting things about those types of wines. It's predominantly known for indigenous varieties such as Šklet, Pošip, and Kraljevina, as well as international grapes like Riesling and Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Gris. And the wineries there are generally very small, they're family-owned, tons of history, very authentic, old-fashioned winemaking, which in a lot of ways is becoming new-fashioned winemaking.
Right. I bet they're beautiful.
I think it is a very beautiful spot. But that's a little bit of information about the different regions. Croatia has also adopted the EU style of wine regulations to guarantee quality, and there are 4 classifications that go from premium quality wine all the way down to table wine, but I'm not going to attempt to pronounce them because I will just screw it all up. But
You're doing pretty well.
Well, I'm trying hard.
I can tell.
And there is
for effort.
Thank you very much. And there's a movement in the country to focus on organic winemaking as well as biodynamic viticulture and preserving indigenous grape varieties. So again, this is an area that has a long and proud history of winemaking. But here in the United States and a lot of other countries, we just don't get exposed to Croatian wine that much.
No.
So,
but I've known a few people who have visited Croatia recently.
And they
it's becoming
love
a
it.
hot place to visit.
For sure. They love it.
Yeah.
And when they're there, they probably have tons of great Croatian wine because I think they don't make a ton of wine, but they keep a lot of, and we'll talk about this, they keep a lot of it in the country. And Croatia is not the biggest producer of wine, as I mentioned. They're only 32nd in the world. And then again, as I said, a lot of it stays in Croatia, and the Croatians love wine. So that's, again, another reason why they don't want you to take their wine. They're going to keep their wine and drink it.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the quality is from what we taste tonight.
Yeah, and again,
if it's not something that they're just mass producing.
Yeah, and I think we'll find that one of these wines actually has very small production. And so overall, I think this is a winemaking region we shouldn't sleep on. And I'm super excited to learn more about these two wines, Carmela. But first,
you got to do our shameless plug.
That's right. So thank you for listening to us and supporting our show. And if you haven't had the chance to do so yet, now would be the perfect time to follow or subscribe to our podcast. Thanks to all of you who have done that. And also thanks to all of you who have left us a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you can do that. We really appreciate that. You can also follow us and see pictures of the wines we're tasting and trying today, and weird AI pictures and sometimes AI videos I like to make on Instagram at the Wine Pair Podcast. And you can also follow us on Blue Sky, and you can contact us on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com, and sign up for our email newsletter there. And if you missed our last one, somebody actually sent me an email this week. They're like, hey, we missed the last newsletter.
Wow.
Will you send it to me? And I will send it to you.
Oh my gosh, 3 weeks in.
That's right. So send me an email at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com, and I will hand deliver an email to you.
Whoa.
Parcel
weird.
post. I don't even know what parcel post means.
I don't either.
But I know that that's a term.
I want to see this hand delivery via email.
I do too. And then on our website, you can find our show notes, as I mentioned, and then a section we call Shop Wine, where you can buy the wines that we rate as buys in different episodes. And we really do want to make content you care about. So send us a note. Give us some feedback. We love feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. If you want us to try something different wines, whatever. And a few shout outs this week. So a listener on Instagram with the handle Corked in CT, which I'm assuming is Connecticut, reached out and let us know that they also do not trust James Suckling.
Oh, wow. Just out of the blue.
Well, I mean,
we haven't talked about him too recently.
But you know, we don't. We also
somebody
don't.
Just had a confession coming on.
That's right. That's right. So we shared that dislike of James Suckling. East Idaho Foodies, so they're the inspiration for this episode, and they also reached out to us about a Willamette Pinot Noir that Costco is carrying as a Kirkland signature. So I went out and found it. So we'll do an episode on that in a few weeks. And the Mustached Wino also reached out to us. That's on Instagram to give us some info about Willamette Valley wineries, since we talked about them a little bit in a previous episode.
Nice.
But, keep those comments, DMs, etc. coming. We love it. We always respond. And as we do every week, we'll tell you someone we think you should recommend the Wine Pair podcast to, because that's the best way for us to grow listeners. And this week, we want you to recommend us to anyone who is of Croatian descent or who loves the country of Croatia, because we think they may appreciate this episode.
I love it. Or somebody who's traveling to Croatia.
Exactly. If they're coming on a trip this summer, send it over. Send the episode over to them.
Right.
And just say, hey, you may want to listen to these.
And maybe you listen to it
birds.
first.
Maybe yes, that's true.
In case, I don't know. We haven't had the wines yet.
But I would have just preferred that they just send it.
Okay, fine. You know what? Don't listen to me. Who am I anyway?
I don't know.
I don't either.
The other half of the Wine Pair.
Right,
I don't know.
Right. You just, listen to Joe.
Gosh. That's
I
what
I do. I just listen to Joe.
I am taking a snippet of that, and I'm going to play that over and over again, because this never happens that she says this about me.
Well, because I'm usually right.
That's true. This is actually very true. This is very true. Okay, so now that we've learned a little bit about Croatian wine in general, let's find out more about what the Plavac Mali and Pošip are. Because, quite frankly, until the East Idaho Foodies reached out, I couldn't have told you the name of a single Croatian wine. I really couldn't have.
Well, I can still not really come up with them. And you've already said it.
And you've written them down.
Yeah.
You've already written them down. So there
I have
you go.
to look down to see.
There you go. Well, let's start with Plavac Mali, which is a cross between Zinfandel, called Krajonek Kasztelanski, I think, in the native language, and another grape called Dobričik. I think that's how you say it. And this biology and history of that is this cross between Zinfandel and Dobričik has been confirmed by scientists. So don't ask, Carmela. It's been done.
Okay.
They've proven it.
Yeah, no
DNA,
questions.
all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
As a wine, it's a deep red color. It's considered rich, full-bodied, intense. It has high alcohol, lots of tannins, and it's sometimes compared to a Zinfandel for obvious reasons, since it's made from a grape that's a cross of Zinfandel, as well as another Portuguese grape called Touriga Nacional, often found in the Douro and Dow regions of Portugal, and also Ayuritico, which is a Greek grape and wine that we really like. So it's kind of a richer, bigger, bolder wine. Although I think the version we have today is not going to be that way. And I'll explain why in a minute. These grapes, these Plavac Mali grapes, they thrive in hot climates with lots of sunshine. So unsurprisingly, these grapes are generally found on the very south end of the Dalmatian coast of Croatia. The areas of the Dalmatian coast that are supposed to be producing good versions of these wines, or at least well known, is Dingac and Pošip. And these were also the two appellations that were the first Croatian wines to be recognized with that protected and official designation of origin in Croatia. So this is an important area. This is kind of, Dalmatia is kind of the big area of...
It's what they strive to be like.
Yeah, and it's the most famous. It's also the most well-regarded, I think, area of winemaking in Croatia. The vineyards where these grapes are grown are often on steep hillsides, and they face the south because they want to maximize sun exposure, and it helps them fully ripen and maintains balance and acidity. And Plavac Mali is considered the king of Croatian red wines. So if there's a red wine from Croatia that you want to be your introduction to Croatian wines, we recommend looking for a Plavac Mali. So let's turn to the Pošip wine, which is a white wine from the Dalmatia area as well, especially found on the island of Korčula. I think I'm saying these right, but if I'm not, I would love to hear somebody say, hey,
oh boy,
you got it wrong.
You're asking, are you sure you want to ask that?
Yeah, I do want feedback.
Okay.
I appreciate feedback. So this island is located in the Adriatic Sea on the southern end of Croatia, just to the north of Dubrovnik. And for a long time, this grape was grown almost exclusively on this island. So you couldn't find it anywhere else in the world. But today it's grown all over Dalmatia, and it's made in a variety of different styles. Some say it's one of the greatest unknown grape varieties in the world.
Oh my.
That's not just me saying that. Other people say it. I don't know who, but other people say that.
But it means a lot when you say it. I feel
especially when I say it that emphatically.
Yeah, and like you're saying it to me. I mean, I'm blown away.
You should see her face. She's fully believing me.
Right. Are you lying?
No, I'm not, but this is exciting. It's
amazing.
Considered the king of Dalmatian white wines, Carmela.
My God, we're going to love it.
I think we are. So we have two kings here. We have the king of red wine and the king of white wine. Do you think they ever battle? Do you think they have a fight?
Yeah, they're pretty different.
You think they're friends?
I mean, I would hope, like raising each other up a little bit. You're supposed to raise each other up.
Jeez, that's such a beautiful view of the world. Yeah. You were going to ask something, though.
I'm just thinking at the order of this, like the red wine first.
Aha! It's interesting that you picked that up.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm surprised that you were listening.
No, I wasn't listening. I'm just noticing. I guess. Look, I wasn't listening, buddy.
Wow.
Don't get,
Again, buddy, I'm in trouble when she says.
Don't get too excited.
When she says buddy, things are not going well.
I was listening. And no, I didn't. No, I was wondering. I was like, we're doing two red wines. And then you said the second one was a white wine.
I did that on purpose. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but very perceptive of you. Very perceptive.
See, you just underestimate how much I listen to you.
No, I have proof very often.
Wow.
Okay, but this wine, now let's go back to Pošip. So this great, considered maybe the greatest, greatest unknown grape variety. It's often compared to Sauvignon Blanc and Chablis.
Oh, we're gonna love it.
I know these are two. This is another reason why I want to put it second. I know.
No.
Yes. It's supposed to have good acidity, citrus notes, so all good stuff. And as we mentioned before, Pošip's taste varies based on its growing location and the way it's produced. So some modern versions of the wine are often like light, refreshing, fruity, kind of more of a, maybe what we consider more of a traditional like Sauvignon Blanc style. But traditional styles are richer with higher alcohol and sometimes herbal aromas. There's also oak aged aged varieties, which you would expect. And so you're going to get richer notes of like dried fruits or butter or vanilla, like you would in an oaked Chardonnay. And there are versions that are aged on the lees as well, and again, we'll remind you that lees are the dead yeast and other stuff left behind in the fermentation process that they leave wines on sometimes to create a little creaminess or a little bit of different kind of flavor in the wine.
Right.
And then most of the time, this wine is fermented in stainless steel, and they tend to be moderate. Yeah, we like that. Moderate in alcohol, light-bodied, maybe good summer sippers. Some say that. So we're going to see. And they also make...
Summer's around the corner.
It is just around the corner. And they also make sparkling wines with Pošip, and they make dessert wines from Pošip. But I think now it's time to learn a little bit more about the specific wines we're drinking today. What do you say?
I'm ready.
Okay, so both the wines we have chosen for this episode average under $25, although one of them is just above that mark and the other is a bit below. And both of them should be relatively easy to find because I bought them both at wine.com. And again, Croatian wines are not going to be the easiest wines to find, even in a local wine shop, unless you live in an area with maybe a lot of Croatian immigrants or somebody who just loves Croatia, loves Croatian wine, visits there, maybe has a wine shop. If you go to your local wine shop and you ask them to get Croatian wines, I'm sure they can find them for you. But again, we found both of these on wine.com. So they're out there. You just kind of have to search for them. Okay, so the first wine we're going to drink is the 2022 Bura-Mrgudić Plavac Fresh.
Wow.
Again, as you have been mentioning, Carmela, I would usually start with a white wine and then go to a red wine. But this time around, I'm flipping the order because I think the red wine is going to be lighter than the white wine. This wine, it's made from 100% Plavac Mali, and it comes from the Peljašak Peninsula in Dalmatia, Croatia. They don't make a lot of this wine. They only make about 8,000 bottles, or about 650 cases. So this is not a high production wine. Mm-hmm. And the soil the grapes grow in is about 300 meters, about 1,000 feet above sea level. And they describe it as red soil with clay stones over a limestone base. Now remember, there's no such thing, at least as far as science is concerned, as minerality, but I do think the soil conditions are going to lead to some good water stress here. And remember, grapes like stress. And they also claim to be all organic, and they don't irrigate, and they only spray in April with powdered sulfur, and in off vintages, they will also spray with copper. So this is interesting. Okay. So the reason why they do this is that it keeps diseases like mildew at bay early on in the growing season. Now, sulfur is a natural fungicide, as is copper. And so these are the kinds of sprays that you may find in organic farms. So it's not that organic farms don't spray. Some do, some don't. But if they spray, they're going to use natural things like sulfur or copper.
Interesting.
Now, some people do say that the overuse of sulfur can affect the smell of wine, because obviously sulfur smells like rotten eggs. You kind of don't want that.
No.
But they only spray usually in the beginning of the season to keep the mildew down. Now, in case you're confused, sulfur is different than sulfites. Many people are concerned about sulfites in wine and other types of foods. And you hear this all the time, sensitivity to sulfites, etc. Sulfur is a natural chemical that's used to discourage the growth of fungi. It's a fungicide. Sulfites are preservatives that are sometimes added into wine that prevent spoiling and discoloration. And so that's the difference. So when we're talking about they spray with sulfur, this isn't getting into the wine. The difference is that sulfites are sometimes added to wine to make it last longer, and that's what some people are sensitive to.
Right.
So don't be confused when we say that they spray with sulfur and copper, because they're not adding sulfites into the wine.
Got it.
And I think that's important, because I think some people do worry a lot about artificial things being put into wine. Not, there's a big natural wine movement. And I think it's important because organic farmers can spray. They're just going to spray with natural, non like artificial chemicals and those kinds of things. The winery also says the grapes are strictly hand-harvested and then destemmed, fermented separately in open vats with manual punch-downs with strictly only native yeast. So they're only using native yeast.
Manual punch-down.
They're just punching it, just manually punching it.
That just sort of stopped me in my tracks right there.
Are you upset?
Down.
Are you upset that they punched their wine?
I was trying to imagine that. I didn't like it.
Sometimes
I don't want a manual
You want a machine. You don't want cause you have this image of somebody going, yeah,
right. Of a man just punching.
Boom, punch that grape stuff down.
It just seems a little weird, but
Well,
that's okay.
Hey, it's what they do.
No machines.
No machines. I guess. All it's manual. I don't know. There's just some guy in there
Really
punching
strong.
it. Maybe it's a lady punching it too. I don't
Well,
know.
That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. They also
I
have,
hope so.
I hope so too. They also have 8 days of skin maceration. It's aged for 4 months in stainless steel tanks and then bottled after a coarse filtration.
These are different terminology in Croatia.
So I knew you'd be curious about that too. So what is coarse filtration? Because I didn't know what it was.
Something thick.
Yeah, actually, there's something about that. Okay, it's the use of filters, natural like filters.
Like coarse salt.
No, it has nothing to do with coarse salt.
Okay.
Well, maybe a little
Not
bit.
Salt.
What is coarse
Something
salt?
Coarse.
What is coarse salt?
Coarse salt?
Compared to like table salt.
It's thicker.
It's bigger.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. So that's what coarse filtration is trying to do.
I was imagining that again.
So think of it as like pouring wine through a strainer. And
the holes are bigger or smaller?
Exactly. It's coarse. No, when it's coarse filtration, they're just trying to get the bigger particles out. It's not super fine filtration where they're trying to get every little bit out. They're just trying to make sure the big gunk gets out. And so it's a more natural form of filtration. It doesn't add anything into the wine. We've talked about this before. There's fining and filtering where you add some substances into the wine to make the particles attach to each other and sink to the bottom. That's not what they're doing. They're just using filters to take out some of the bigger pieces. And then I think based on the way that they've described this wine, the alcohol content, which we haven't talked about, but it's low, I would be totally comfortable serving this red wine slightly chilled. I think this is a red wine you can serve.
Are we chilling it tonight?
No, but I'm going to pull it right out of the
cellar.
Right out of the cellar. That's right.
Closet.
Right out of the wine closet. That's right. Okay, so now on to the next wine. It's the 2023 Zlatan Otok Pošip. And this one also had a web page, same one as the website as the Plavac Mali. This dry white wine is 100% Pošip, and they make a lot more of this wine. So they make 50,000 bottles of this wine, well over 4,000 cases, so a lot more than the Plavac Mali that we were talking about. It's also a white wine with pretty high alcohol content. It's like 13.5 alcohol content, and the Plavac Mali is only 12.5%, the one that we have.
Right.
The story on the website says the vines are planted on the side of Biokovo Mountain, and the terrain is very rugged, and there's very little soil.
What about the manual pushdown?
Well, we haven't gotten to the punchdown.
Okay,
we're still growing them. We haven't gotten to the point where we're just trying to get them to grow first, right?
Okay.
And so
I'm just waiting for that manual punchdown.
You want to see if they punch this wine too,
right?
You're so upset about the punching of the wine.
No, the whole manual punchdown. Just
you'd feel better if they punched it with a machine.
I don't know. Like, I think there's been other terminology for that. It just sounds weird. I don't know.
I don't know. Someday we'll watch a manual punchdown. See some person just go.
I don't know if it's like a wrestling match or boxing. Something about it just reminds me of a fight. Just fighting with those grapes, just punching them down.
Oh, poor grapes. Okay, anyway, back to this Pošip. The soil on the mountain is supposed to be very rocky, and it sounds similar to the soil in the Plavac Mali, quite frankly, with clay and limestone, and it's about 1,000 feet above sea level again. Similar to the previous wine, the winery says it is organic, that they don't irrigate, and that they spray a minimal amount in the spring and midsummer months, small amounts of sulfur and sometimes copper. They also say the wine is hand-harvested, which is then followed by a couple of days of skin maceration and controlled cold fermentation in stainless steel tanks. Fermentation is done through high-grade, non-commercial yeasts from Italy.
Nice.
Okay. And
now we're talking.
The wine is aged and slapped for 8 months.
Oh,
No, I made that up. They don't.
My God.
There's no slapping or punching. They didn't mention it. You believed it for a second.
I was like, this is too weird. Like,
the wine is slapped.
He might do a little bit of slapping with the. I don't know. The manual punch down people might do a little bit.
They do it, machine slapping. Okay, the wine is aged for 8 months in stainless steel. It's also coarsely fined and filtered before bottling. So there's definitely some similarities between the way these two wines are produced. And from what I can tell, neither of them are oaked. So I'm expecting both of these wines, I hope, to be pretty bright and lively, pretty easy drinking, but we're going to find out. So before we take a break, if any of you have a Croatian wine that you can drink along with us and get extra participation points, please do that. Or just pick out any white or red wine and just drink with us and have some fun.
And have a little manual punch down.
That's right. Don't punch your wine. Do not punch your wine.
Right. Well, that would hurt.
You could slap it a little bit. No, that's weird.
No, it's like the wine toss.
That was inappropriate.
That's a different story.
That's right. Okay, we're going to take a break and I'm going to punch some wine.
Okay.
Okay, we're back and we are ready to try our first wine. But before we say so, this is such a cute bottle. I just don't want to punch it.
Never. But I almost feel like I could have done that.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Anyway.
No, probably not.
I will say this right off the bat. It's a screw cap, so we like that.
But it is. It's very playful. I love the
foil, the top area.
Yeah, the top foil is super cute. I just think it's a nice, fun bottle.
Yeah. So this is, we'll describe it. It's the Bura-Mrgudić Plavac Fresh. It's from Croatia, the Dalmatian region. It's a 2022. It was $21.99 at wine.com. It's 100% Plavac Mali and no professional ratings, but Vivino has a 3.8 rating on it. But Carla, let's do the color first.
It's pretty.
It's pretty. I will say kind of seems a little cloudy to me.
Yeah, maybe it is. It's light too. I mean, it's not like deep, inky. So it almost has a little, sometimes how you say there's a little bit of a brown tint to it around the rim. A little bit of that.
I think it's got a little, to me, it's got a little Pinot color on it. Okay, well, let's smell it. What are you smelling?
It's nice. I'm getting definitely some black cherry or something cherry for sure. And maybe even like raisin.
To me, it kind of smells like a Pinot as well. It kind of looks like a Pinot, kind of smells a little bit like a Pinot to me as well. Yeah. I'm getting a lot of cherry licorice.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. It's bright. Like it's definitely like doesn't have that oak on it.
No,
so it does.
No
definitely
oak.
So it has that brighter. It's more fresh.
It's fruity. It's very fruity to me. It smells like raspberries, strawberries, cherries. It's very fresh fruit smelling, but a little bit of spice on it too. It's got a little spice on it, like a little bit of
like a baking spice or pepper. Or
I'm thinking a little more pepper and a little licorice. I know I said red licorice, or I meant to say red licorice, but almost has a little bit of black licorice too.
I almost feel like there's a little black licorice on
like
it,
anise, maybe a little anise or whatever.
That's a good call. Yeah.
Okay, well let's taste it and see what we think.
Ooh.
It's nice.
It's fruity.
It's really fruity and it's super dry.
Yeah.
It's super dry on the back end.
Kind of surprisingly for how fruity. Something about it is pretty.
It's juicy.
It is juicy. And there's something almost like a huge contrast though to it with how fruity it is and how dry.
Yeah.
You know, you almost feel like the juicier it is, I don't know. Something about it feels a little dry.
This reminds me a little bit of like grape skins when you eat the grape skins and they get that really, so it's got like a really strong kind of like tannic, but it's not a lingering tannin. It's like super quick, like cleaning off the tongue tannin. You know, the one thing I just wanted to say too, almost when I first tasted it, it almost tasted, this is going to sound weird, like effervescent or sparkly on the front. Like there was something about it that was kind of like, I don't know how to describe it.
No, I can get behind that. I think it is a little bit. It's definitely like, I actually feel like this is a summer wine.
Totally
too.
a summer wine.
Yeah.
You could totally have this chilled.
Right. I think it'd be really good with that little effervescent,
It might be.
feeling on it. Yeah.
It might be.
Nice.
And I think cold, it would be good. Cold, it is a little, it's not quite room temperature. It's a little under. So I think it tastes really nice.
What would you eat with this
Yeah,
wine?
I was just going to say before we get there that it's not super complex, but it's nice. Like it's a nice, fun, fruity wine.
And it does, the interesting thing is too, is that there's good flavor, but the drying of the tongue, it kind of goes away quickly.
Yeah. And so with food, it'll be really nice. So I think, this is not a, fancy dinner wine by any means, but like we're going to have pizza tonight. Our son's coming back. We're going to watch White Lotus. This is a great pizza wine.
Yeah, this is a great pizza wine.
Yeah.
And it would do well with I feel like a spicy salami pizza.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it would do well with, like a cheeseburger. It'd be really nice, like McDonald's. Get your McDonald's.
A barbecue. I feel like
barbecue would be really
grilling
good.
burgers.
It'd be really good.
Really good.
Yeah. Barbecue's a good call for sure. I think low and slow meat would be good.
Would be good too. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's rate it. So as a reminder on our rating scale, we rate on a scale of 1 to 10. We don't give half points. A 7 and above means we're going to buy it. 4 below means we're going to pour it down the sink. 5 or 6 means we're going to drink it, and we'll probably finish it, but we're not going to buy it. So what rating would you give this wine?
Well, I'm going to at least give it a 7.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to buy it. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm going to give it a 7 for now.
I'm going to give it a 7 as well. I kind of feel like I'm not sure that I can give it much more than a 7 because it's a really nice, easy drinking, fun, delicious wine. But it's not like, it's not a knock your socks off.
It's not super versatile in terms of when you're going to serve it.
I think that's right.
It's kind of in its own category.
Yeah, I think you said it exactly right. Like summer cookout, you're having pizza in the backyard pizza oven or something, like this would be a great wine choice. Okay, we're going to take a break and we're going to try our last wine. Okay, we are back and we are ready to try our last wine. This is the Zlatan Otok Pošip. It's also from Dalmatia, Croatia. It is a 2023. It was $25.99 at wine.com. 13.5% alcohol, so more than the red wine. 100% Pošip. And again, Vivino had a 3.8 rating, and I couldn't find any professional ratings. But before we give any taste or anything, let's look at the color. This one's really interesting to me.
Tell me.
Well, it's kind of filmy. Like almost like, we were talking about this coarse filtration. Almost like they didn't get all the fine stuff out of it, and that's kind of part of it. Do you see that kind of floating? Do you see that? Maybe it's not as much in yours.
See, I don't know if I'm seeing anything. Yeah, maybe at the top. But, but not. I mean, it's very fine.
Yeah, just kind of interesting. But it's like a light, straw yellow.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's pretty.
Kind of feel like maybe it has a little bit of texture to it. You know what I mean? Like
it is a little thick or syrupy, I think.
Looking.
Yeah,
for sure.
Interesting to taste.
But I'm almost seeing like a little film on the top. That's what I was.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's smell it. What are you smelling?
Well, my first sniff was gasoline.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really got that.
Okay, I can smell that now, like kerosene or something like that.
But it's now subsiding a bit, and I'm getting maybe a little bit of like caramel, or I don't know why, but because it's not I don't know, a little bit maybe vanilla-y even. That's funny because that was kind of more my first scent was like, it kind of smells like a little bit of an oaked Chardonnay to me. Right. Like I'm kind of getting thrown off here a bit. Yeah, because I'm getting a little vanilla. I'm getting a little like exactly what you said. I do think there's a little like melon on it, and maybe I'm smelling a little bit of the lees, like yeastiness as well. Okay, yep. Melon, like what, like not like a watermelon. No, like a cantaloupe. Sorry, like a cantaloupe or a honeydew. Maybe even a little peach. Yeah, I was actually thinking a little peach too. I think you're right on. I'm not getting like a lot of apple. No, I agree with you. Maybe a touch of pear. What about citrus? Like I'm not getting citrus really on it. Not super lemony or orange or grapefruit. Or none of those. Like pineapple. I'm not getting like tropical and if anything, it may be pineapple, but not a lot. Maybe a little, but okay. Well, let's try it. Okay. It is thick. It is. It's got definite mouthfeel. It's much more citrusy in the mouth. Yeah, I would agree. But I don't think it's overwhelmingly citrusy. Do you? What I'd say is it's got a lot of acid, which I like. But I think it's got a lingering kind of lime aftertaste. Okay. Like lime pith, like kind of that bitterness. Yeah, and I'm still not getting a whole lot of like apple. Or even like the peach is not coming through. I think you're right. It's a little bit of lime. It's not as pungent as lemon. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a little more subtle, but it's definitely tastes much more citrusy than it smells. Yeah, we couldn't get any on there. It's weird, huh? I'm trying to see if I'm getting like peach on the flavor. You know what? It's kind of reminding me of like the bottled lemon juice. Yes. You get a little artificial of lemon or lime, when you don't have a fresh one. Yeah. I'm with you. There is something a little bit, I don't know, like, chemically or something on it. Are you getting any peach?
Not a lot.
I hate to say it. A little bit. I do. I feel like I'm getting a little bit, but I almost feel like I'm getting some table grape on it.
Oh,
like
table grape.
Like grapes that you eat, like in the. You're punching that grape down and it lands on the table.
Do you want some table grapes?
No, but do you know what I'm saying? What's
the difference between like a table grape and like a...
You don't eat wine grapes. You don't eat wine grapes.
Oh, okay.
A table grape, an eating grape.
I wasn't thinking, I was just thinking of the eating grapes and trying to figure out like, okay.
But now that you know what I'm talking about,
like,
do you get kind of a little bit of that?
A little bit, like a green, like a really, really like underripe green grape.
A big one.
A big one.
Big one. Yeah. Like it's got to be one of those really big. I'm kind of getting that taste of one of those big, fat green grapes.
What about a really small tart one though, too?
No, because you know why? I think it's that there's something about the tannin on it.
Okay.
Yeah, the skin.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of skin on it.
Yeah, and I think the table grape you're talking about is one that you think that they're going to be good and they're a little bit flavorless.
Or maybe too tart.
Right. A little flavor challenged.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
That.
Like when you
it.
go, oh my gosh. Because sometimes you eat a grape and it's just perfectly balanced.
Yes.
Those table grapes that we eat. And then sometimes you're like a little underwhelmed. This one's a little underwhelming.
Yeah. Well, what food would you have with this one, first of all?
Well, I think it would go well with food.
I actually think it needs food.
Yeah.
I think it would be very good with food, to be honest with you.
I think it would be good with food. And I think you could have a variety of things. I think you could have something pretty salty, spicy. I mean, I wouldn't do you could do a flaky fish and it'd be great too.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like a fried fish would be good.
I agree.
Fish and chips.
Mm-hmm. But like fish tacos would be good. It'd be good. This is a wine to me that I think if we were eating it with food.
No.
If we were consuming it with food, I really think we'd like it better.
I think you're right.
Like I always go to my spaghetti and clams. I think it would be great with this. I think this has a little saline in it too.
Okay.
A little saltiness. Yeah. You know that fake minerality that we're not supposed to taste?
Right.
I think I'm tasting some of it.
Okay.
Okay, so what rating would you give this one, Carmel?
I'm going to give it a 7. There's no reason I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be my first choice, but a 7.
I'm totally agreeing with you. I don't like it when we totally agree because I think they're both 7s. I think they're both nice wines. I'm giving this one a 7 on the promise that if I had it with a nice, charcuterie board, some cheese and crackers and stuff, I'd be like, oh gosh, this wine is so good. Or if we were in Croatia on the Adriatic Sea.
Anything would be good.
Yeah, exactly. And having a little bit of fish. Or lamb or, like chicken, we'd be like, oh, this is such a good wine.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think the fact that it's still March and it's kind of cold and we're in the basement and we're not eating food may have some impact on our experience of this wine.
True.
Okay, which of these two are you finishing tonight?
I don't think you're going to believe this, but I think I would probably go with the first one.
Me too. The red wine. Yeah. I'm going with the Plavac Mali.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, let's talk about the taste profiles expected from these two wines. So first, a Plavac Mali. Typical flavors are dark cherry, plum, blueberry, dried fig, raisin, pepper, baking spices, sage, thyme, carob, chocolate, plum jam, black olive, stone, and leather. So we got a lot of those.
Yeah, we did.
The winery says highly aromatic and full of bright, dark, fruity notes, which is interesting. They said bright, dark, but I kind of agree with that. Black currant, black cherry, black plums, violet florals, touch of fruit spice, and a hint of minerality. Medium-bodied, dusty tannins. I would almost say it's almost light-bodied versus medium-bodied.
I agree.
Dusty tannins and a refreshing acidity that keeps it really approachable. I agree with that. Bright, fruity aromatics carry through to the palate, accompanied by savory Mediterranean herbs and a chalky minerality. Taste of Croatia says, on the nose, intense, fine quality, long-lasting, fruity aroma, slightly floral, fruits, blueberries, currants, fresh black plums, cherries. The tannins are rounded, soft, and fruity in the mouth. Follows on the nose. What's interesting is you said this on the break. You're like, we didn't talk a lot about the flavor of the Plavac, but I kind of feel like the smell and the flavor were super connected.
Yes, for sure.
I mean,
and maybe that's why we sort of didn't comment quite as heavily on it.
Well, and I think both of these reviews are saying that it carries through those smells kind of carry through to the flavor, and I think that's true. Okay, let's Pošip. The general flavors are lemon, lime, citrus, zesty apple, vanilla spice,
almond, minerality, pineapple, banana, herbs, dried apricots, figs, spices, buttery. You know, it's really funny. I almost said banana. And
that was a good one.
I just held myself back. But banana, I got. Mm-hmm. The winery says a Mediterranean robust but elegant wine full of flavor that bursts with freshness, impressive minerality, and beautiful varietal aromas. Nice smell of apricots, dry figs, and honey.
Honey.
So you were getting at least vanilla. Did you say honey? I can't remember.
No, I didn't.
Okay. And then a website called 8 Wine said bright and straw yellow in color, ripe, refreshing wine with aromas of nectarine, pineapple, and lemon. On the palate, fresh apricot, pear, light anise tones, and slightly herbal quality, mouth-wateringly acidic finish.
Okay.
So they didn't get they did talk about lime. We were getting peach. They said nectarine or apricot. So it's in the same family. Right. So there you go.
Interesting.
Well, Carmela, I mean, just not fair for us to give a full review on Croatian wines after drinking just 2 and one red, one white. I mean, we didn't even try any other varieties, but what would you say?
Oh, I think that this is a good beginning.
Yeah.
It's a great start.
Yeah. And to me, it's like, agree. And, you know, it's unfortunate that we don't get a lot of Croatian wines. I understand why. Their production isn't huge and they probably keep a lot in the country. But, you know, again, maybe we just have to do a little trip.
Yeah.
Find out what it's all about.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I'm down.
I'm down, too. All right. Well, it's time for us to go. But before we do, we want to thank you very much for listening to us. And if you haven't done so yet, now would be the perfect time to follow or subscribe to our podcast and leave us a nice rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. So tell us about a wine you want us to taste and review, or give us some feedback on the podcast. You can leave a message for us on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com. Join our email newsletter there. And you can also reach out to us at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com anytime. And with that, we're going to sign off. So we're going to thank you once again. We'll see you next time. And as we say, life is short, so stop drinking shitty wine. Bye-bye.
Bye.